Yes. Good morning. My name is Kaimba Bosco, and I'm going to take you through my scheme of work and lesson plan. This is my scheme of work, and this is what I did best. Yeah. Then I was a teacher at Paida SS Secondary School in Paida Zombo District. I was teaching Senior 3 Physics, year 2020. Yes, this was my lesson. This was my scheme of work. We have periods here, we have weeks, we have topic, subtopic, content, competence, methods, learning, skills, teaching learning aids, difference and marks. Week 1, it was reporting of students and revision of the last term exams for the side of the students, and we as teachers we are for orientations. Second week, I introduced a new topic called light, and subtopic was diffraction of light. I gave it one period, those are 40 minutes, and I introduced to them by giving them the definition of diffraction of light. These are the content. I had to introduce definition of diffraction of light, laws of refraction of light, experiment, investigate, Snell's law. Then by the end of this lesson, of course, I had to make sure that this content I'm going to teach learners are able to understand them. By the end, I expected that learners should be able to define the diffraction of light. Learners should be able to state the laws of refraction of light. Learners should be able to verify the Snell's law. Then the methods I had to use exposition method, and group discussion, guided discovery, and question and answer. These methods, like exposition, since they are from COVID and this concept was somehow new, I had to first take them through what really refraction of light is. Group discussion, of course, guided discovery, I had to guide them during some practicals, and question and answer as an assessment method. Then problem solving were the skills, teamwork, and skills of communication as they are interacting within their groups. Then I had to use flip chart, glass block, white piece of paper, and all this. Since I was teaching a practical lesson, I had to use all these materials. Then these were the differences. Okay, so now I go to my lesson plan. This was my lesson plan. This personal information I've already explained it up there, so there's no need. So the date was 21st/02/2022, and the time was from 10:50 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. The class was Senior 3. Number of students were 73, and the average of the student was 16. The topic was light. Subtopic was refraction of light. Then the rationale of teaching this refraction of light. We know that there is what we call total internal reflection, and this total internal reflection has its application. It is used in manufacturing of some instruments which are used like optical instruments, like you have optical fibers which are used by doctors to view what is taking place inside the human body. And as you have complications in your body's stomach, they get this instrument, they insert it in your mouth so that they are able to see what is really happening inside you by using these optical fibers. So that is also one of the healthy important part of this. Okay. Then the skills are still the same as I stated in my scheme. Teaching learning aids, they have not changed, still I maintain them. Learning objectives, they are the same. Methods, group discussion, as I mentioned in my lesson plan. Now I come to my lesson development. Time, this is time, okay? Yeah, it was from 10 to, I used 10 minutes for introduction. Okay, one step, that is step 1. Teacher greeting students. I greeted my students and they responded. I asked them to organize the classroom, to pick some papers which are around, and then also to form groups of 6, which they did very fast. Then later I took the attendance. After taking the attendance, the remaining 5 minutes, I had to review. I had to ask them what is light, what is reflection of light, and to give at least the 2 types of reflection of light. So the student did it. They gave me the definition of light, the reflection of light, and 2 types of reflection of light. As you can see, they gave me irregular reflection and regular. Those are the types. And they said reflection of light, the bouncing of light after it strikes a given surface. That's what definition. And light as a form of energy that enables us to see. So that one they answered it very well. Then step 2 here, I introduced what I wanted to introduce. This was now lesson, the one I wanted to teach. I wanted to teach them diffraction. I gave them the definition of diffraction of light as bending of light rays as travels from one medium to another different optical density. This word optical density, it is the key word in this definition. Without it, we don't mark it, and I emphasize it also. So a wearable diagram, I used it to illustrate what is refraction is. Remember, wearable diagram has incident ray, refracted ray, and normal, and emergent ray. Those 4 rays are important in explaining this concept. Then the student asked some few questions for clarity, and later I asked them to take notes. Then my step 3 is here. I stated, remember, I had to state them the law. I had to give them the laws of refraction of light. So I stated them as follows: that refraction, the first law of refraction said that the incident ray, the refracted ray, and the normal, all in the same point of incidence, lie in the same plane. That is the first law. The second law states that the ratio of sine angle of incidence, the sine angle of refraction, is a constant for any given pair of media. This second law is what refers to as the Snell's law. Okay, and it's one that we had to prove. Students still asked some few questions for clarity, and later they took some notes. Then step 4, I had to give them spreadsheets which had procedures for verifying the second law, which is the Snell's law, in their groups. So they did it very well. They defined, they interpreted these procedures very well under my guidance, and they verified this experiment. I disputed the teaching aids I had brought, and I guided them how to use them in order not to break the glass block, and they came up with really some good results, and I was so happy. Okay. Then the next or the last step was a closure. To summarize my lesson, I summarized the lesson by doing a recap, asking them a question: what is the diffraction of light? Said the laws of diffraction of light, and were able to give me the answers correctly. So meaning that my objectives were achieved. Okay, my objectives were achieved. Then I concluded by giving them an exercise to define what is refracted ray, what is incident ray, and emergent ray. Because these rays, we use them when explaining the phenomena of refraction of light. So I wanted them to give me what are they, what's the meaning of these rays. So they did the work and even brought the books, and I marked and passed very well. And I used these marks for assessment.